The Class 43 HST, not to be confused with the Class 43 warship, is a 1970s British high-speed diesel-electric locomotive, being easily one of the most iconic things to be birthed in the UK, next to Concorde, these mad lads, and those digestive biscuits that I'm chemically addicted to. The HST has spent the last 45 years or so transporting people to the far reaches of the country in air-conditioned comfort. In recent years, however, it's been displaced on most services by IET Coon, and has been well and truly demoted service-wise. They can be seen serving places such as Scotland, Sheffield, Gloucester, Tamworth, Bristol, Newton Abbot and the National Railway Museum in York. Do I think the HST is an untouchable golden frying pan of the railway, or perhaps I'm glad that it's being replaced with equal trash? Let's find out, but not before addressing something quite important. With the advent of internet communications and technology, there have been a worrying number of people on the rise who have been going around claiming that the HST is not a loco train set but instead a diesel multiple unit. This was not helped by the fact that British Rail actually called it that in the past, before dropping it quickly, and for good reason. Nor was it helped by GWR calling their short-end HST trainsets the Class 255 recently. By the literal definition of the term, the HST is not a multiple unit, and so, to call the HST a diesel multiple unit would be like calling the NL186 locomotives that are used on the Dutch high-speed line an electric multiple unit. A loco is used at both ends and it's almost always used in this formation. Therefore, multiple unit. Even the Class 153 is more of a DMU than your HST can ever be, and I say that with a capital ever. So can you please put your egos aside for 5 minutes of your precious lives, and stop being so asinine with this. Now, as I was saying, the typical HST formation sees a pair of Class 43 locomotives at each end of the train set and a number of Mark III passenger coaches sandwiched between them. The number of coaches a HST would have has varied between operators and services over the years, with as many as 9 coaches, or in one recorded instance, as little as 2. The average was around 8 from my experience, though even today, cross-country use a whopping 7 coaches with their HSTs, because they actively hate you, and just want your money and reservations. So what is there to like about these trains then? I can start off by saying that it's certainly a good looking train as a whole. The power cars are streamlined and match the passenger coaches they run with. It helps that I also can't think of a really bad livery the HST has been in. I used to think Grand Central was my favorite HST livery, but thinking it over, I really like the EMT and cross-country liveries, and I'm so annoyed that EMR didn't repaint their remaining sets in that new livery shown in that concept art. It would have been a 9 out of 10 with it on, easily. Even the new measurement train, a special testing HST used by Network Rail taken from a surplus set of Class 43 power cars, looks nice in its single yellow livery. The HST has used different engines in its service life, with the 3 main ones being the Valenta, the MTU and the VP185. As I have a degree of sensitive hearing, I can easily spend hours and hours talking about how I loathed hearing the Valenta when I was younger, especially at Reading Station. Thankfully the MTU and the VP185 are toned down in terms of volume, and both of them sound really nice, whether it's idling or powering up, and the harmonics with the engines and the coaches passing by over HST has been a sounding great into my hearing since the mid-2000s. The HST is fast.
No way!
Whilst its initial acceleration isn't as good as something more modern like the IET, it helps that it can really shift at the higher ends up to 125 miles per hour. According to some data recorded by a traveler, a 7-car HST can actually reach 125 miles per hour in a shorter distance than a Class 180 if one of its engines has failed. If all 5 of its engines are running, then yes, the 180 is much faster until it breaks down. So what is the interior like of the coaches hauled by the HST? It really depends on the operators, but all of the HSTs share a few things in common with each other. Standard class seating consists of a 2+2 seating arrangement throughout each coach, with basic amenities such as power sockets, Wi-Fi and folding tables provided behind the seats. Some seats are arranged in a facing layout with a big table provided, which can allow you to challenge random passengers to a duel of Yu-Gi-Oh! I have to say that I find the style of seats formerly used by the EMT ones to be exceptionally comfortable and relaxing to sit in. especially on a quiet journey from London to East Midlands Parkway with no screaming children or obnoxious business calls. The LNER and cross-country ones were okay too, though I found the ones used by GWR to be a bit on the firm side. Nothing terribly bad, but a bit firm. First class actually looks and feels like first class for once, with bigger tables and reclining seats. No one will disturb your reading of the Financial Times now. Toilets are located in almost every coach at the end of the coaches, right by the doors, which are passable in size. For those needing to practice their 360 no-scopes, fear not, a disabled toilet with a sliding door is located in the respective coach with designated wheelchair spaces. Also, speaking of doors, the HST uses slam doors operated by the passengers. These are being phased out because they are too confusing for new travelers and are being replaced by refurbished sliding doors which, courtesy of Warp Tech, have door alarms which sound at a reasonable volume. Just loud enough to be heard from the International Space Station. The old doors also allowed 4 people to stick their heads out and look out of the train whilst moving, which is something I don't like to do at all. Other onboard facilities include a buffet car, typically located between first and standard class. This inclusion does vary between operators and traveling times, but if you're lucky enough, you'll be able to sample your £1.90 bottle of water and a £3.75 British Rail sandwich. What? You thought I was joking? I haven't tried getting my bike on board a HST yet, but cycle spaces are available in the power cars or in the guards compartment where applicable. As alluded to earlier, the HST has been largely displaced on most intercity services by the IET, which I still deem to be inferior overall. No, it has nothing to do with where it was built, before you ask. It's because of the poor seat comfort, lack of buffet cars on the GWR units, fewer coaches overall, crap seat to window alignment and toilet doors that are heavier than Big Mama. Who cares if it's faster, if you have to stand up compressed from Swindon to London? Why was this train built to such a poor design? It could have been so much better as a HST replacement. On the plus side, the HST sets that were used by GWR were able to be sent up to Scotland and provide some extra capacity on their intercity services, displacing most of the turbo stars. Now their express trains will only be 40 years old as opposed to 20. Other than that, the future of the HST seems to be rather straightforward in comparison to some other trains we've seen. The ones that aren't being used have either been locked away in a shed, preserved for heritage, or donated to the scrap god. Maybe Ireland would like a couple of HSTs to use on their services from Dublin? Who knows? Conclusion. I think the HST has stood the test of time extremely well, much better than other rust buckets still running from the same time period. Whilst I will not call myself a fan of them, I can see the appeal to it overall, and some of my most relaxing journeys in the past have been on a HST. Unlike the IET, it actually gets a thumbs up from me for being a comfortable high-speed train. I agree that it was due a replacement, but I'll put it to you like this. I understand why buses like the ALX 400 and the Kitano Nimbus have been displaced in London by more cleaner and efficient buses, like the Enviro 200 and Evo City, but it doesn't mean I have to like the replacements, even when I can see and fully understand the benefits. Now you know my thoughts on the HST. Go out there and petition for a HST Railter to speedrun all of the UK's railway network because lol. Also funnel that petition money to me. I'll put it to good use. Honest.